I remember the exact sound of the phone slipping from my hand when the doctor said the word, permanent. It didn't shatter when it hit the hospital floor, but something inside me did. The accident had already taken my ability to run, to move without thinking, to live without pain, but that word made everything final. My parents stood beside me, holding my hands, promising that everything would be okay. They said we'd get through this together, like a family. And for a while, I believed them. When the settlement came months later, it felt like a small, cold comfort for everything I had lost. The lawyer explained it carefully. This money was meant to support my recovery, my future care, and the life I'd now have to rebuild differently. I was only 19, still trying to process everything, so when my parents said they would manage it for me, I didn't question it. After all, they had always told me family comes first. At first, nothing seemed wrong. They paid for my physical therapy sessions, bought me equipment I needed, and handled all the paperwork I didn't understand. Whenever I asked about the settlement, my mom would smile and say, "Don't worry about it. It's safe." My dad would add, "We're investing it wisely. It's family money now, and we're making it grow." The phrase felt strange to me, family money, but I ignored the discomfort. I wanted to trust them. I needed to trust someone. Weeks turned into months, and slowly, small cracks began to show. My therapy sessions became less frequent. My requests for new braces or specialized treatment were met with hesitation. "It's too expensive," they would say. "We have to be careful." But I couldn't understand how money meant for my recovery suddenly became something we couldn't afford to use. Then I noticed the changes around the house. My parents upgraded the kitchen. My dad bought a new car. My mom started wearing jewelry I had never seen before. When I asked about it, they laughed it off. "We've been saving for years," they said. "We deserve this." Something inside me tightened, but I pushed it down. I didn't want to believe what my instincts were telling me. I didn't want to think my parents would use my accident, my pain, as an opportunity. One evening, I finally asked directly. I remember my voice shaking as I said, "Can I see the account?" The settlement account. The room went quiet. My mom's smile disappeared. My dad's tone hardened. "Don't start this," he said. "Everything we do is for this family." And then my mom added the line that would echo in my mind for years, "That money isn't just yours. It belongs to all of us." I didn't argue after that. I felt small, ungrateful, almost ashamed for asking. Maybe they were right, I thought. Maybe I was being selfish. But the doubt never left. It grew quietly, feeding on every denied therapy session, every unexplained purchase, every time they avoided my questions. I started keeping notes, dates, conversations, little details that didn't add up. It wasn't a plan at first, just a way to hold on to reality. Because something deep down was telling me that one day, I would need proof. And then, one afternoon, nearly a year after the settlement had been deposited, I received a call from the bank. I almost didn't answer. Unknown numbers usually meant spam or insurance agents. But something made me pick up. "Hello, is this Daniel Carter?" The voice asked politely. "Yes," I replied. "This is regarding your settlement account." My heart skipped. "What about it?" There was a pause, just long enough to make my stomach twist. "We've noticed some unusual activity," the caller said. "And we need to verify a series of withdrawals authorized under your name." The room around me seemed to blur. "Withdrawals," I whispered. "I didn't authorize anything." Another pause, heavier this time. "Sir, according to our records, you signed off on multiple transfers over the past 10 months. My hand tightened around the phone. "That's not possible," I said. "I never signed anything." The voice on the other end grew more serious. "In that case, we need you to come in immediately. There may be a problem." And in that moment, I realized the truth I had been avoiding. The money wasn't just being managed. It was being taken, and the people I trusted most in the world were the ones behind it. When I hung up, my hands were trembling, but my mind felt strangely clear. Every doubt, every uneasy feeling I had ignored now stood in front of me, undeniable. I didn't confront my parents right away. Instead, I looked at the notes I had been keeping, the dates, the conversations, the moments that didn't make sense. For the first time, they weren't just fragments of suspicion. They were evidence, and the bank's call had just turned them into something much bigger. Something that couldn't be brushed aside with a smile or a dismissive comment. That evening, I sat across from my parents at the dinner table, watching them talk about renovations and weekend plans as if nothing in the world was wrong. As if my life hadn't been turned upside down. As if they hadn't taken something that was never theirs. I didn't say anything yet. But I knew one thing for certain. The next time I spoke, everything would change. The next morning, I went to the bank alone. Every step felt heavier than the last, like I was walking toward a truth I wasn't ready to face but couldn't avoid anymore. The building looked ordinary, almost indifferent to what was about to unfold inside. When I sat down with the bank officer, she greeted me with a careful, professional smile, but I could see the concern in her eyes. She slid a stack of documents across the desk and said, "These are the transactions we mentioned." My fingers hesitated before touching the papers. Part of me wanted to push them away, to pretend this wasn't real. But I forced myself to look. Signature after signature stared back at me, my name written in ink that wasn't mine. Transfers, withdrawals, authorizations, all neatly documented. All fake. I didn't sign any of these, I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. The officer nodded. "We suspected that might be the case. That's why we contacted you." She explained that the pattern of withdrawals had raised red flags. Large amounts moved into accounts connected to my household. Accounts I didn't control. "We'll need to open an investigation," she said gently. "This may involve law enforcement." The words felt heavy, but they also brought something unexpected: relief. For the first time, someone believed me without question. Someone saw what I had been too afraid to say out loud. I nodded slowly. "Do whatever you need to do," I replied. "I just want the truth." Walking out of the bank, I felt a strange mix of fear and determination. I knew what came next wouldn't be easy. Confronting strangers was one thing. Confronting my own parents was something else entirely. That evening, I didn't wait. I placed the documents on the kitchen table and called them in. My mom looked confused. My dad looked annoyed. "What is this?" he asked. I met his gaze, my heart pounding but my voice firm. "The bank called me back," I said. "They found the withdrawals." Silence fell instantly. My mom's face drained of color. My dad's expression hardened, then shifted into something else, something defensive. "We can explain," he said quickly. But I shook my head. "No," I replied. "You can tell the truth." At first, they tried to downplay it. They said it was temporary, that they had planned to put the money back, that it was all for the family. The same phrase again, family money. But this time, it didn't carry any weight. "You forged my signature," I said quietly. "You took money meant for my medical care." My mom started crying, saying they had been under pressure, that bills were piling up, that they didn't know what else to do. My dad grew angry, accusing me of being ungrateful, of turning against them after everything they had done. But something inside me had changed. The fear, the doubt, the need for their approval, it was all gone. In its place was clarity. "You didn't ask me," I said. "You decided for me. You lied to me." My voice didn't shake this time. It didn't need to. The truth was strong enough on its own. I told them about the investigation, about the possibility of legal action. That's when the panic set in. My dad's confidence crumbled. My mom begged me to reconsider. "We're your parents," she said through tears. "We're family." I looked at them, really looked at them, and for the first time, I saw them not as the people who raised me, but as the people who had betrayed me. "Family doesn't do this," I said. The investigation moved quickly after that. The bank uncovered everything: the forged documents, the transfers, the accounts. It wasn't just a misunderstanding or a temporary decision. It was a pattern, a choice they had made over and over again. When the authorities got involved, things escalated fast. Charges were discussed. Consequences became real. My parents tried to reach out, to fix things, to apologize in ways they never had before. But apologies didn't erase what had been done. They didn't restore the months of treatment I had missed or the trust that had been broken. In the end, the money that could be recovered was returned to me. Not all of it. Some had already been spent, but enough to rebuild what I could. I used it the way it was meant to be used. Therapy, equipment, a future that, while different, was still mine. The hardest part wasn't the legal process or the financial loss. It was accepting that the people I had trusted most had seen my pain as an opportunity. But there was one thing they didn't take from me: my voice. And the moment the bank called back, I finally used it.